Hi, it's Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. So I'm working on my fall harvesty, Halloweeny type projects. Excuse me, right off the bat, got a little frog in my throat. And this one is going to be Harvesting Life's Gifts. It's for a friend who I just like to send him notes from time to time. And it's got, the stamp is from Galleria. Geez, I have no idea. It's from Inkadinkado, and it is called, doesn't have a name, it's just 0604. Then beside it says 93161. Don't really know if it has a name on it, but anyway, I really liked it. I thought it was a nice fall image. Then I'm using a stamp from, I think it's called Forest Foliage from Stampin' Up. I could be making that up. It's a stamp that I already stamped around the outside of my cardstock that's 5.5 inches by 4.25 inches, and I thought, well, I already screwed this up once, so I figured I could either do this again or just tell you that I stamped those leaves around the edge. So that's what I did. I stamped those leaves around the edge, and then I'm going to put this image on top of it. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to stamp my harvest image with some archival gray ink that's from Stampin' Up. It came out, I think, in the last year or so, and they didn't have an archival gray before that, and I'm glad they do, because sometimes black is just too stark, I think, and I'm hoping this comes out really well. And I've made a mask of the truck because I thought that that would look really good with my, gotta move that because I'm going to need that. I used a piece of paper that the back of it's already got some smudges on it, so I figured I would just use that piece as my scrap for this whole image. And I'm just making sure that I get my whole truck on the white cardstock. I don't want to miss any edges. Should be good. There you go. Harvest Life's Gifts. Got a little smudge there, but that's not going to make any difference, because our next step is going to be where we put a background on it. And I like to do that when I have a white image like this that's just so white. It's just too white. And so what I like to do, let me get my gray out of here too. What I like to do then is I like to put an image on top of it. I don't need that underneath, I need it on top. And what I'm going to do is I'm taking an old Stampin' Up! Color that's been out of production for I don't know how many years, but a long time. It's called Mellow Moss, and I'm just going to ink up this. It looks kind of like a canvas. I'm not sure if it's called canvas. It could be. I didn't find a name on it, and I hate it when that happens, but I'll make sure in the meantime I'll figure it out and put it in the notes below, as I always do. In case you didn't remember that, I always put it in the notes below. So, then what we're going to do is we're going to put, oh, I forgot to put my, what I'm going to do is I've got my little mask, and I put a little bit of tape runner on the back of my truck, and I don't want it to get too attached to my image, but I want to make sure that I cover the whole truck, including there's a little squirrel on top. I just want my truck to not move, and so that's why I put that sticky tape on it. Then I'm going to put it on, I better do this again, I'm running a fan overhead, and it has a tendency to dry out my stamped images before, or my stamps before I stamp them, so I just want to make sure that this thing doesn't have a little problem with that. Okay, so I've got my mask on it now. We're just going to lay it down, get my scrap paper again, holding it down with one hand. Now this time I'm going to really have to rub over my image really well, because I used my first mistake, which was in cardstock, and I know that if I don't push, that cardstock will not allow the ink to get around those edges where I need it to be. With my one hand holding the stamped image, it should make it so the only thing that's moving is this top paper. I know it looks like the whole thing is moving, but it should not be, because like I said, I'm holding it with one hand and moving the other hand. Hopefully we got a good imprint all the way around. Ooh, that's nice. Now, you can see at the bottom I didn't get the complete edge, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look on this. I can see where my image did not, where it ended, so I can kind of go across that and hopefully transfer a little bit more of the ink that I need onto the bottom. I don't think it doesn't make that big of a deal because it's just a little plaid, but it makes it cleaner looking. And if in the end I don't like it, I'll just whack that bottom part off. So now the tricky part is getting our truck off. Hopefully we didn't have any real big sticky issues with that tape runner I put on there. You want to take it off very gently, because in case the tape runner did adhere, you don't want to end up having a problem with it. I think I am going to cut that bottom edge off. It doesn't make that big of a difference to the project because I've got those leaves stamped around on the other card stock, but I want to make sure this doesn't look weird, and so I'm going to just take off just this little weird bottom edge that I don't like, and then that made it 1/8 of an inch smaller than 4 inches, so I want to make this, and then make that not that big. Let's see, I want to take it off maybe good enough. If I wanted to, I could always take a little bit off the other side too, but I think for now we're good. Now it's a matter of coloring in our image, and I'm going to use some Stampin' Up! Markers to do that. Oh, and I wanted to make sure I told you, don't forget you want to keep these masks with your stamp. It's important that you don't lose those, because you're not going to want to cut those out every time you use them. And here's what it looks like so far. And you can't even see the leaves behind it yet. I might make it a little bit smaller just because of that. Let's cut a little bit off. So I think I'm taking off about maybe 1/8 of an inch. I think is what I took off. And then I'm going to take about the same amount off of this side. And we'll put it up on our background again. I think that looks good. And then it also gives us some room if I decide I wanted to do something with like a ribbon or something. I can do it. I do have some kind of cool looking burlap. We'll think about that in a minute. So before I do that, I want to do one more thing with this ink. And that is, I'm going to just run the edge of my white cardstock along that, and it doesn't matter if it goes in a little bit. I just want to kind of distress it a little bit. So now it's a little bit more, I don't know, I wanted it to look a little bit masculine, I know no card is really masculine, but it just looks a little bit more masculine than regular card, in my opinion. Okay, I'm going to use the blender pen and some Stampin' Up! Markers, and I might as well start with the pumpkins, and this one is pumpkin pie, so I'm going to smear a little of that out on my, it's just your basic ceramic tile, no big deal. It's not like you have to have anything special, and almost every time I do this, I don't know if you noticed this, but I use something different, so you know that you can use a bunch of different things, and it's important to me that you know that, so that's why I do it that way. And this time I'm using a Dove blender pen, and I'm just going to color in my pumpkins. Then I'm going to do my truck, and I decided really rust sounded cool for the truck. I might change my mind on that just because I'm not sure of how rust is going to be. So I'm going to smear it together on the one side with that pumpkin pie, and I'm not going to clean off my brush because I like that pumpkin pie look. And so let's do our truck, and the back of the truck, it's one of those old ones that had wood around there, around the back, so we have to remember to make sure that we make the back woody. Okay, then in between colors you're going to want to scribble off any color that remains on your blender pen, and then I'm going to go to a color called Soft Suede, and I thought I would try that for the baskets of my planters. Is Sahara Sand, and that's for one teeny tiny gourd. That, you know, you always have to have one little gourd that you have to color that makes you have a weird color, but this little gourd. And I'm going to do them in real red. I have a squirrel that I need to make a brown color, as well as I have a couple different browns that I have on the truck itself. So I'm going to go with a color called Chocolate Chip and do whatever I think needs, whoops, wrong color, wrong end. See if I can do my truck bed. And then I'm going to go back to this Soft Suede, and I'm going to add a little bit to my corn stalks with it. Just kind of fill in around them. Just add a little background color. Now I think I'm going to use a little bit of glossy accents on our truck. I'll just open it and put it on a paintbrush. It'll be easier that way because otherwise it'll be too painful to watch. I bought these paintbrushes. You get them at the Dollar Tree, and you get like 30 of them, or no, maybe it's Walmart. You get like 30 of them for $1 or 97 cents, whatever. And I think I'm just gonna do just a few of our components. I'm just gonna put a little bit of glossy accent on, like I'm gonna make our pumpkins a little bit glossy. It's just a matter now of letting it dry and getting it on our card. And I think the next thing I want to do is while I'm waiting for it to dry, I think I'm going to put the foam backing, put some tear tape on the foam backing, and then be ready to roll. I use Fun Foam most of the time when I do foam backing. It makes it a lot faster to do, and it's a lot easier, and frankly it's a lot more inexpensive than buying the foam tape. And if you want to mail your card, it makes it so it goes through the mail without any problem, and that's nice too, because sometimes when you put those little foam tabs in the back of your project, when it gets to its destination, the foam pieces have gone awry and your piece doesn't have any foam on it at all anymore, or the foam comes out, or only part of it's covered with foam. So this just kind of solves all of our problems. And I always like to press down the very ends of my foam tape, and I'll just have Rich take this part off so you don't have to watch the tape coming off. So I decided what I was going to do is take my harvest and run some ribbon around the back of it and hopefully get it straight. That's too close to the truck. I need to be further over. I need to be on the very edge of the foam. And then before I glue anything down, I'm going to lay it on that. But before I glue it down, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another piece and put it near the top. And I'm just going to tie it. I don't know if you can hear my dogs. They're just going crazy. They're just growling at each other and running up and down the hall like lunatics. Because I'm on video. It wouldn't be any other way if I wasn't on video, right? Okay, so I'm going to pull it close to the top, as close as I can to the top. Make sure this part is straight. Then I'm going to tie that off like that. And then I'll cut that off in a second. But I want to pull this tight and run it around the back as straight as I can. Okay. Then, because I'm going to lay it on the card eventually anyway, I might as well figure out if that's the top of the card. Then I think I'm just going to cut these on a really short diagonal like that. Then it makes it look like I actually did a bow, but I didn't. And no one knows it but you and I. So don't tell anybody. It'll be our big secret. There is the bow. Then now all we have to do, I'm going to put a little bit of tape runner. I'm going to pick it up. If you've never seen me do this, I like to do this because it's like a sneaky trick. I put a little bit of tape runner with a tape runner that actually has tape runner in it. I put a little bit of tape runner underneath where my ribbon is, and then it holds it in place like that. Then I started looking at this and I started thinking about how the shiny parts look great, but the other parts look kind of dull. What should I do? What do you recommend? Anybody got any ideas? Anybody? Anybody? Okay, well, I think that's my project. I forgot to put I made this for you on the back. I made this for you, and I'm going to do my envelope. I forgot to do that too. I'm going to go with a beige envelope, and I think I'm going to go with orange. I'll just do this plain orange washi, I think. I'm going to go around the bottom of the card envelope, with it. I think that looks nice when you have a really thin line like this. And my scissors are right there. So there you have it. I hope you liked it. I hope you give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Please tell your friends about me on social media. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.